Hey pioneers, and welcome back. Today we will be doing a video that I wanted to do for some time now. Some time ago on my early access tour, I made a video about fluid dynamics and the bug that Satisfactory currently has, and that has been by far the most popular video I made, which is kind of weird because I hate it, and there were a lot of discussions on it. And even though I think that most people know how to handle fluids, I noticed that there were a lot of people that didn't understand what was going on, what happens inside a pipe. And even though I'm no expert, I think that after a lot of time and investigation, I kind of figured it out. Another thing that I noticed is that it's kind of a sensitive subject, and there were some players that were living in the world where this game is broken, nothing works, and some others that were in the world of this game is excellent, it's poor fluids dynamics, you need how to learn how to play, and there were some heated discussions. So please don't be that kind of guy. Nobody was born knowing how to play this game. We all learned, and if there's someone out there that doesn't know about something, that's a good situation to just explain it, or to have an interesting conversation. So please, try to be kind to one another. So first, let's start by addressing the elephant in the room. Do we have a bug on fluids right now? And the answer is yes, we have. But lucky for us, it's a bug that is easy to detect and easy to correct. If you plop one pipe and then you add stuff on it, like for example a junction, or a pipe, or a pump, or maybe a valve. When you grab your build tool and point at these sections of the pipes, you can see that they go to the middle of these elements. And that's not how it's meant to be. This intersection can cause backflow, and if this pipe is going at full capacity, it will bring trouble. Lucky for us, this is really easy to detect and also really easy to fix. Just aim at one pipe, press G to apply a filter, and mass dismantle everything. Once you did that, you will have all of the supports and everything, and you can simply reconnect the pipes. And now you will notice that they are properly cut. They end where they should end, they start where they should start. So just get used to it, and every time you're building, remember to dismantle the pipes and recreate them. This was actually addressed by Snoot on the dev stream on 16th of October, I think. They are aware of this bug and they said that they were going to fix it in 2 weeks' time. He only mentioned water pumps. He didn't mention junctions nor valves. But I think maybe that's because he missed it. I don't think that they will only be focusing on water pumps and not the rest. Anyway, and this is just me guessing, probably once it gets fixed, it means that it won't happen from now on, but it won't retroactively fix all of your pipes. So if you currently have this error, just take some time, inspect the pipes, delete the ones that you have to, and replop them. Okay, so now let's continue. So I built here a little monster. All of those are outputs, and that one is an input. So just by seeing that, can you know the direction of the flow on this pipe? Well, if you think you can, you're either the smartest man on earth or you're a liar. The thing is that determining the flow over here, it's extremely complex and it will be changing all of the time. It will even be changing directions. It's not like it will always go from left to right. Sometimes it might go from right to left and keep on switching. Even though this is a generator, it doesn't mean that fluids will go in this direction. They might sometimes go on the other one. That's the weird thing about liquids. These are not conveyor belts, so it can go either way. So how do we analyze this kind of system? Well, there are some rules. Over here we have nodes, and the branches that are the path between the nodes will always have the same flow, meaning all of these branches will have the same flow, all of these branches will have the same flow, all of that branch will have the same flow, and so on. But when I'm saying the same flow, it doesn't mean that it will have a constant flow. It will be changing all of the time, but it will be the same. This segment and that segment will always have exactly the same flow. If it didn't, you would be creating a vacuum inside here, and the universe would collapse. So how do we analyze flow? How do we know in what direction the fluids are going on this segment? Well, for that, we have this extremely awesome mathematical formula. Flow is P1 minus P2 divided by R. What is P1? P1 is the pressure on one point, in this case the pressure on this junction. P2 is the pressure on the second junction. And R is the resistance of the pipe, the resistance of this pipe over here. The resistance is determined by the width and the length of the pipe. As they are all of the same width, it's basically the length, the shape. The longer the pipe, it will have a higher resistance. The shorter the pipe, it will be lower. And what about pressure? How do I know the pressure here or here? Because of course, this also has a pressure. The pressure, for the time being, we will be talking about flat surface. Let's not mix headlift in the equation. And the pressure is simply the amount of liquids we have on the pipe. Right now, anything is connected, so all of them are at zero pressure. So if we suddenly turn that one on, it would start producing liquids and it will have a higher pressure than this point. So fluids will start going in this direction. But then who knows, maybe this generator and this generator are both pumping here, and this junction will have a higher pressure than that generator. So we might have fluids going that way. That's why these systems are dynamic and they change all of the time. So in order to see this, I pre-created a good example that I think it showcases. So let's dive in. So what do we have here? We have one water extractor pumping water into two liquid packages, water packages. And we can see that this is a straight line, while this makes a funny loop. So your first reaction might be, hey, I've done this several times. All of the machines end up working at 100%. And that's possible, but that's not this exact example. Why is that? This water extractor is producing 50 water, and both of those packages are requiring 50 water. So now take some time to think, what are the percentages? How are these machines working? Are they both working at 50%? I mean, if this was a miner, and that was a splitter, and these were conveyor belts, yeah, they would. Probably this one will take a couple of seconds more to start up because of the longer length, but they both would end up working at 50. But what about liquids? We can see that this one is working at 69, while this one is currently working at 30. And they are also going to different containers, so we can see that over here we have a lot of water, while over here we have almost half, a little bit more than half. So why is that? What's happening over here? As I said before, the flow is this pressure minus that pressure divided the resistance. P1 minus P2 divided R. And that flow would be P1 minus P3 divided a different resistance. As both of these packages are set to consume more water than they actually receive, the pressure on both of them will be zero. The moment a little bit of water enters there, it will be immediately consumed, meaning P2 and P3 are equal. and this pressure is equal for both of them. So in the end, this one ends up receiving more because this resistance is lower. And this one receives less because this resistance is higher. Now, you might wonder, but my pipes aren't all of the exact same length, but they usually work at 100%. Why is that? So let's think about that. Let's assume this one is producing 50 and both of them are consuming 25. So what will happen at the beginning? As we saw before, this pipe will be carrying more water. So this one will be receiving more than 25. Nevertheless, it can only consume 25 because that's fixed. So what will happen with the extra water? It will start piling up in the internal buffer. When it does, this pressure will start to increase, and it will keep on increasing as long as it's receiving more water that it can consume. So then when you do P1 minus P2, that difference will be smaller. Water won't be wanting to go that way because this is already pretty filled up, so it will start going that way, which will make this pressure increase and this pressure decrease. And at one point it will start going the other way, and then that way. So basically the system will balance, but it's not stable. It will be sometimes going more over this side and sometimes going more over that side. And yeah, it might end up being at 100%, but not always. This is dangerous. Resistance is a thing, and we need to try to build as symmetrical as we can. Don't treat pipes as conveyor belts, and don't treat junctions as splitters, because they are not. Fluid dynamics are way more complex than it appears. So well, let's keep on moving forward. Now, something I want to clarify. For example, on this case, let's suppose all of these are producing 50 and all of those are consuming 50. So if you follow the mathematical formula I just gave, you would say, oh, that one has a bigger resistance, so the flow will be lower on that one, and the flow will be higher on that one. But well, it's not that the case. Lucky for us, it's not that. How does this work? Water extractors or pumps or generators work in a way where they always will try to impose the flow they are set to. And they will achieve that as long as they have somewhere to pump the liquids and they are not fighting against another generator. So on this type of connections where it's one-on-one, the flow will be the same for all of them, no matter the resistance. I know it might sound weird, but it's exactly like that, even in real life. Well, maybe these are all ideal motors. In real life, maybe that one might struggle. But in Satisfactory, you can go an infinite size horizontal, and you will always be able to pump all of the flow. So in cases like this, we can ignore resistance. But resistance matters when we have a junction in the middle that I can't put on a nice way. So now in this case it's different. We will have the same flow going up to this point, and then we will find two different resistance. Liquids will always try to go through the path of less resistance. Well, in this case they are kind of similar, but well, I think they will try to go that way. And they will also care about the pressure in the other side. If this one is absolutely full, liquids won't go that way, it will go that one. But what I'm trying to say is that you need to care about resistance when you have different branches, but if it's only one, lucky for us, you don't have to care at all, it will always be able to carry all of the fluids. That's why, if possible, when designing, if you can do something like this, only one generator and one consumer, or one generator and two consumers, that's really good. On my experience, asymmetries on the consumers aren't that bad, but asymmetries on the generators are really bad. So let's do some other examples. Let's check this out. We have 3 producers and 6 consumers. So how do we connect them? Some players might do something like this. So this could be a solution. We merge all of the pipes and then we divide it among all of the consumers. Now this is not recommended, but I want to stress this out. It doesn't mean that it won't work. All of these tips are tips to reduce the chances of having backflow and having weird errors. It doesn't mean that you can't do this. But on this scenario, all of these three producers will be competing, fighting to pump the liquids to the other side. The only difference is that this one is going through a highway and that one is going through a dirt road covered in poop. So there's chances that these two will struggle to be able to send all of the liquids to the other side, while this one will have it really easy. You can even see that at the beginning, this one will start pumping liquids over here, and it will go to the three branches. And if there's higher pressure over here, this one won't be pumping that much. Of course, it can balance itself, but instead of doing this, you could do this other thing. Here we go. Now we have three individual systems, and we can see that these branches are symmetrical, meaning this resistance is the same as that resistance. And the water generators won't have issues with each other. They are not connected. They speak different languages. They don't know each other. Each one will be doing their job transmitting fluids to the other side. In general, when possible, it's always ideal to have one generator per system. Of course, there are plenty of cases where you can't do that, but if you go with something like this, it's almost impossible for you to have issues, as long as the pipes are well connected. But this will work, it can't go wrong. So in general, trying to divide the system into smaller systems and building them as symmetrical as you can is really good to prevent you from having any type of issues. But now let's go to a real life example, how I set up coal, for example. This is my temporary coal setup. I built this in a rush because I know that I will dismantle everything once the turbo fuel factory is on and I start actually playing the game. So what we can see here, we all know that each one of these groups has 8 coal generators. So we have a total of 24 coal generators. And we know that you can feed 8 coal generators with only 3 water extractors. But well, I placed 4. And each one of them is a little bit underclocked at 75%. They've been working at 100% efficiency. And this has actually been really fast to build. If you place 3, you have to maybe put 1 in the middle and 2 in the sides or make a loop. But well, there's chances that you might get it wrong. These even aren't completely symmetrical, as you can see, because of putting the bridge in the middle. I wanted to put the bridge in the middle. But still, each one of these systems is completely independent of the other. We have only 1 generator and 2 consumers. So yeah, it would be ideal if I connected it to the middle, but still, this works perfectly. And if I was using only 3, well, I would have to get a little bit more creative to make sure that this is not going to fail. So in general, smaller systems, 1 generator per system is a pretty safe way to go. And of course it's load balanced, because I'm a weirdo. Well, let's talk a little bit more about this topology. That's basically connecting several generators in parallel. It's not like I'm telling you you can't do that. I did it a lot of times and it works. It might be a little bit risky, but it works. Still, there are some considerations. Let's assume you're doing math times more math, and you divide all of these by banana, and the result is 6.5, meaning you need 6.5 generators. And you say, oh man, I've got 6, I don't want to place another one. So you go over one of them, put a power shard, and take it to 150%. This is actually a really bad practice. You're shooting yourself in the foot. Making one of them produce more than the others, it will probably make it throw liquids into another producer, And that's really bad. That's even more riskier. And the same goes for, okay, then I'm smart, I will just place one of them and we'll make this one go at 50%. That's also equally dangerous, because now these guys over here will be pumping liquids into the other one. What you have to do in these cases is set them all at the same clock rate. I usually rather place one more and underclock all of them, or you could put one less and overclock all of them. But they need to be the same so that the system stays as balanced as you can. So, let's go with another example that probably everyone can relate to. We have 6 refineries producing plastic, and these guys are unpackaging oil. Everything works perfectly, everything is symmetrical, you are a happy pioneer. But one day you get up at the morning and you stub your pinky toe against the table, and that pisses you off. So you say, you know what, now I want less plastic, and you remove one of these. And as you're a smart guy, you take this one to 50% because you want everything to remain balanced, and then you run away to collect Mercer fears. This is also a big no-no. These pipes over here, these dead ends, are really dangerous. If you think on fluid dynamics, when we start this guy over here, it will start pumping oil to both sides. So this one will eventually start getting filled and filled and filled, and will have higher pressure than this point. So after some time, it will throw all of that oil over here. But then it will get filled up again, and it will throw it again. This will be generating turbulence, and it might be really bad for your system. Well, here we ended up with a one-on-one. Imagine there were 3 refineries, maybe not the best example, but dead ends are dangerous. You need to prevent this at all costs. It's just adding turbulence into a system that's already turbulent to begin with. So, if you stub your pinky toe against a table, remember to remove the dead end afterwards. And we are all done. So, to speak about turbulence, let's just start a segment of my turbo fuel factory and see how fluids behave. So, we are back at my amazing control room that was extremely easy to build and didn't make me hate my life at any moment. And sarcasm is bad. Oh, let me check that. It's autosave off. I don't want to screw anything. Yep, it's off. Let's turn on the water structures and check out how water behaves. Okay, here we are. All of the water structures are happy, pumping their water. But let's check, I don't know, this pipe over here. Boop. Well, for the time being, it's pretty stable. Let's just give it a little bit more time to see what happens. Okay, now we are talking. Do you see that? The flow and the amount of water. The flow is calculated by the pressure, and the pressure is the amount of water in the pipe. And it's all over the place. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down, and the flow is calculated in every single second. I don't know how many calculations Unreal Engine does per second, but probably more than 2. So just by itself, systems are extremely turbulent. And this is mainly because water extractor, I don't know why, they produce the water in batches. They don't produce anything, and all of a sudden they pump everything at once. I feel that if it wasn't because of this, most people wouldn't have fluid errors. Miners don't work this way. Miners give at a constant rate. But well, water extractors, water generators, they work this way. They produce in batches in what is already a really complicated system. So this generates turbulence, and this is what might generate backflows. liquids will always go from the place of more pressure to less pressure, meaning from the place that has more water to the one that has less. And if that's changing all of the time, well, this one already got filled. That ends up being a pretty chaotic system. Chaos. I should really check the pronunciation of words before making a video. But well, now that we are also here, you can see these watery structures, how I connected them. Instead of merging all of them, they are different systems. This one is not that good. It's divided into 4, but still it's only 1 generator and 4 consumers. And we saw the amount of, check this flow rate, how it's going all over the place. This can also be mitigated by a full pressure startup, but we will be seeing that in a little bit. I really need to learn how to speak. I also wanted to talk a little bit about Headlift. I won't go much into it. There are tons of videos out there. And basically I wanted to talk about flow. But what is Headlift? If we go to any fluid generator, let's go to a packager. Here we can say that it says Headlift 10 meters. What does that mean? It means that this guy over here can take liquids 10 meters up, but no more than that. So if we do something like that, yeah, I think that's in the bottom. We can grab our ruler, 10 meters. This guy over here won't be able to pass fluids up to higher than this point. It can go all you want to that side. It can even do, it can go down, then go up. It will be able to go up to here. It can go infinite to that side, but it will never be able to pass that mark because it's limited by its head lift. So if you want to go over that mark, you need to place a water pump. And just as a reminder, everything you place in a pipe, except a water pump, let's say a valve or a fluid buffer, that resets head lift. So once you go through one of those, the head lift is 0. So this is really important to know. Liquids will never be able to pass this mark, and as long as you stay below this line, you can do whatever the crap you want. But after this mark, you won't be able to get any liquids at all. Let's do another example of that. Here we are next to our best friend. I came here because I remember that there's a water pump over here. So this guy needs to take liquids to the refineries that are on top, and this is definitely more than 10 meters. It's already 10 meters over there. We know that it can reach it. And we can check that water extractors have 10 meters of head lift. So how do you know if you have enough head lift or not? Well, the best way to do it is, I don't know the first segment. Maybe there's a good way of doing it. I'm not sure. So the first water pump I usually, or either measure it with a beam like I've been doing, or just place it nearby. But for example, over here. So will this be enough? You can press H, so it will stay there. And you can see those over there, it tells you where the head lift goes. So if I want to make sure it reaches my refineries on top, while I still have that there, I can go to the refineries and check it out. And see, now I'm absolutely sure that the head lift is enough. Especially because I'm using a pump MK2 and that can go really higher. But the best way is to do that. Place one pump close to your water generator, freeze the hologram, and then check up to what point it can go. Oh, I lost it. But well, that's a good way to be sure up to where the liquids can go. I also wanted to talk a little bit about our good friend, the valve. Now, before I do that, I might be mistaken. If you check the top right corner of the screen, I'm currently at the end of phase 3, and even though I have a lot of experience in Satisfactory, I've never gone past this point. I played a lot in early access. As you can see, I take a long of time building because I want to be weird about stuff, so I never got past this point. But from the experience I have, my best recommendation is don't use them. Maybe later on in the game there's a scenario where they are useful, but I really think they cause more trouble than help. And why is that? Well, to begin with, they reset Headlift. So if we want fluids going this way, after this way, there's absolutely no Headlift at all. Meaning you can't go past this point, liquids won't reach that place. And then you might say, yeah, but I want to make sure that we have 148.1 of flow on this segment. But it doesn't work like that. In order to have the flow that the valve says, this segment has to be absolutely full and this segment has to be absolutely empty. On that case, you will see the 448.1. But if this one is at 50% and this one is at 55%, you won't be seeing that number. Even though intuitively you might think, yeah, I will get that. But it doesn't work that way. And another reason you might use it is, well, I want to make sure there's no backflow, that liquids only go in that direction. It's pointing that way, right? Yes, it is. But it also doesn't work that way. Why is that? Yes, it's true that through this valve, liquids would only go from there to there. But still, you can have liquids going all over here and then bouncing back. And you can also have liquids going all of this way and bouncing back. It will be determined by the pressures on each point and all of the complicated system that we've been seeing, but this doesn't ensure you that all of this branch will be going exactly as you plan. There still can be backflow, it still can work wrong. So my recommendation is do this, and be a happy pioneer. Okay, we reached the point where the reason I made this video is to talk about this, that is a full pressure startup. So what are we seeing here? This is kind of a model of a turbo fuel factory. This guy over here is giving us oil. I color coded the pipes. These guys are giving fuel. So these guys are doing turbo fuel. That's going to a fuel generator. The ratios might be random, I just plot refineries because it doesn't matter. So, what is a full pressure startup? It's not a building technique, it doesn't have anything to do with the colors I chose, it's an operation technique. How do you use what you have already built? And why do you do a pressure startup? It's a way to prevent you from having issues with fluids. Maybe you didn't follow all of the tips I gave you. I even didn't follow all of them in this factory. That one over there has some weird shenanigans. But well, doing a full pressure startup can help you mitigate the issues due to bad design or bad connections, or maybe some pipes being cut the incorrect way. It's just a way of turning everything on. So let's first talk about how usually everybody turns their factories on. That let me know it's not incorrect. I'm not telling you how to play and I'm not saying this is the bad way of doing it. It's not Nico's way, because Nico is a weird guy. So usually what you would do, you have all of your factory, so you run to a switch and you turn it on. Yeah, it's not connected. So what will happen? This guy will start producing oil, so we have a little bit more of pressure here and these guys are empty. So the oil will start going both of these ways, really chill because the pressure difference is not that important, but they will eventually reach the refineries that are doing fuel. The moment they reach them, these guys will start doing fuel, that it will start going this way, chilling, and these guys will do turbo fuel, that will start going this way. But all of the pipes will remain basically empty all of the time. Why is that? Because this guy is producing the same amount of that these two are consuming, and these two are producing the same amount that these four are consuming, and so on. So basically, during all of our process, all of the pipes will be pretty much empty. It's not that that's bad, but it's also not good. I mean, having pipes completely full really help us initialize the system and help us mitigate errors. So let me now show you another example. So there are two ways of doing a full pressure startup: the normal way or the convoluted way, that is the one that I'm going to be using. Both work. The convoluted way is way more annoying, but it's slightly better. So I'm gonna start by that one. So as you can see here, every single of these stages now has a switch. We'll talk about the last one in a minute. So at the beginning, they are all off, meaning none of these machines work. So then, oh, this is still on. Sorry about that. Once everything is set up, you will only power the first stage of the factory, meaning this guy will start producing oil. But that oil has nowhere to go because these two are off. Even their internal buffers won't get filled. If machines are not powered on, their internal buffer is closed. So it will start producing until all of these pipes are completely filled. And then you will get to a point where that pressure is equal to that pressure is equal to that pressure, and this machine will automatically turn off. Because it will say, hey dude, there's nowhere for the oil to go, what do you want me to do? And we'll take a nap. The moment we see this guy turn off, you go and turn on the next segment. So what are the benefits from that? Right now, all of these pipes are absolutely filled, and the moment we turn on both of these machines, it's not like this generator will be pumping oil to them. Every single segment will be pumping oil, because this one will be full and we will see something with less pressure, that one will be full and we'll be seeing something with less pressure, that one will be full, that one will be full, everything will be full. So all of the oil will automatically go to these machines, which will produce an air bubble over there. So this packager will say, oh, there's space, and we'll throw a little bit of oil. And as we do that, we will start getting fuel. And yes, the fuel has nowhere to go, because these guys are turned off. So it will start filling on these pipes, filling them, and once they are all filled, these two will turn off automatically. And after some seconds, this one will also turn off, because everything is fuel and there's nothing you can do. And at that stage, you go over here and you flip the other switch. Boop. So now the same will happen. These will start producing turbo fuel, and the moment they do, every single segment of the pipe will be trying to push liquids into that, which will generate air over here, which will make this one start doing fuel, which will generate air over here, and all of these pipes will be pushing over there, which will generate air over here, and this one will start pushing oil. So after some time, these pipes over here will get absolutely full. And when they do, this stage will automatically turn off. After that, that stage will automatically turn off, and after that, that stage will automatically turn off. And then we go to the last one. And yes, I place a switch over here, but we don't need it. And I found out about this a couple of days ago, and I felt really stupid for placing that switch in the control room. The thing about power generators is that placing a switch doesn't change anything. They will work, because they don't need electricity to work. They produce electricity. So the only way over here is to actually turn them off, which is kind of annoying. But well, they should be off from the beginning. So right now, all of these pipes are absolutely filled. And when they are, you start turning them on. So what's the end result? As these two are consuming exactly the same as these four are producing, and these four are consuming exactly the same as these two are producing, and these two are consuming exactly the same as this one is producing, the system will remain like that, meaning every single pipe will be absolutely full at all times. And if they are full, all of the flow will be automatically directed to the direction it has. There won't be any turbulence, like it will be more incentivized to go to the machines. So that's a full pressure startup, making the system start with full pressure on every single segment of the pipe. Now, yes, there are a lot of things we have to talk about. 99.8% of the players don't make all of these switches. As a matter of fact, this is the first time I did. But you don't actually need switches. You could manually turn them on and off. Well, I don't even have a recipe over here. This one was doing fill. You could actually turn them on and off. But an easier way, I think, if you don't want to use switches, you usually connect them in like a chain, so you could actually erase the wire. And then when you want to connect them, you just plop this connection. That it wouldn't be going to a switch, it would be going to wherever you have electricity. So there are a lot of benefits of doing this. And even if you did really bad design and you have some errors, the fact of having every single pipe at full pressure might help them mitigate. It might not, you never know. But my experience is that I've done some factories that weren't exactly the best planned in the world, but after doing this kind of startup, they ended up working. And the good thing is that they are also easier to troubleshoot, because every single pipe you see, it should be always full. Now, that's Nico's convoluted way of doing it. And I like it because you can analyze each stage as you go. But there's an easy way. What is the easier way? You forget about this guy, you forget about that guy, and well, that's your main switch. So you could only turn off these guys at the end. So that's your initial state. The last stage of your factory is turned off, and then you flip on the main switch. That was already flipped on. I'm bad at doing examples. So you turn it on. This guy will start producing oil that would be immediately consumed by these guys that will produce fuel that will be immediately consumed by these guys that will produce turbo fuel. But the turbo fuel has nowhere to go. So it will take longer. Well, actually not longer, it will be faster. But eventually all of these will turn off because there's nowhere for the turbo fuel to go. Then all of this will turn off because there's nowhere for the fuel to go. And finally, this one will turn off because there's nowhere for the oil to go. So at the end, you don't have to play with switches or erase wires or press so many buttons. Once you see your whole factory is off, you just go to the last stage, that in this case are fuel generators. It could be any machine that handles liquids and it's the last one you have, and turn it on. That will have the exact same result. All of the pipes will be completely filled up. It will be less probable for you to have issues. And it's also pretty cool. So that's what I mean when I say a full pressure startup, and that's what we will be doing with this huge factory. And that kind of wraps up this crash course. I hope you guys enjoyed it. feel free. I mean, I love discussions. I might have gotten some things wrong, so just let's talk about it. If there's something you don't like, if there's any doubt, just go ahead and write your comments. These are pretty good discussions. I might not have gotten everything correctly. I'm talking about experience, about how I play the game. To be honest, I managed to get every single factory with liquids working at 100%, even on early access, when there was the floating error, the floating point error that we no longer have. But well, I mean, I struggled a lot. It's not like I'm the smartest guy in the universe. I spent days troubleshooting factories, but you can get them right. And in 1.0, it's even easier. Or at least that's what I think so, because this will be the first complex factory I turn on. And it might go terribly wrong, and that would be extremely embarrassing. But well, that's a problem for future Nico, not actual Nico. So, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and keep on building. See you on the next one.